Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the Daily Underline. My name is Tamil Manning, and I'm going to pass it to you.
Hey everybody, on this Saturday, I'm Tanisha. So today we're going to be talking about when advice is not needed. Sometimes when people call you for advice or they're just trying to get it out, sometimes it's very difficult to not because what they are doing, and a lot of times I have to be aware of this. Let's just say, for example, my daughter calls me and they're crying hysterical and they're like, Mom, the first one thing you want to be is super mom and you want to go to the rescue. So at the same time, I've had to learn to breathe because I'm instantly wanting to give advice, rescue them, or whatever. I'm trying to find a resolution. And sometimes all they need is just a listening ear and for someone to allow for them to process what they are actually saying. In this type of environment, if you do this more often, that will allow the other person not to repress their emotions, but to be able to go through some of the processes to process their emotions. And I'll kick it over to Camille.
So I would say one of the things that we talked about prior to this conversation is sometimes that relatability. Everyone wants to relate, and so they'll give you an example. For instance, they'll give you an example. Well, my friend went through something similar to that, and what that does for that other person, it wingles down, it simps them down what they're currently going through, and they have to get rid of whatever example you just given them because they're trying to focus on themselves. So sometimes it's not as encouraging to try to give an example to relate to this type of situation. And sometimes if you haven't experienced that same thing that your friend is going through, sometimes you can lead with sympathy and think you're being empathetic and you're not being empathetic or connecting and caring with them. It's more of the connection and caring with your words. And sometimes if you don't have the experience, you can't connect. And that's not on you. It's just realizing, having the emotional intelligence to be like, I don't have the words to inspire and encourage you in this year or in this moment, but to accept that and not try to lead them, because sometimes your word can be detrimental to them in this time. So just being aware with how you give your advice. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's why we're saying advice not needed. Every time someone calls, one of the things that I have learned to do with my children, for example, or people that I love, because you want to help them, but at the same time, it's good to help them to self-regulate themselves so they can actually think for themselves. So one of the things that I ask up front, okay, do you need mama? Do you need just a listening ear? Do you need my advice? Because then that allows me to say whether or not I'm in the right space to be the listening ear. Because sometimes if somebody's calling me and I'm in the middle of a meeting or something like that, and so it's like, do you need me right now? Do I need to stop what I'm doing? And sometimes it's okay to just stop what I'm doing and just listen. And all you can do in that moment is validate their feelings. You can say, hey, I understand that I would be feeling the same way. You are angry. Yep, that is right. Don't try to correct them on what they're feeling, but just let it out. Let them vomit, I guess. And I guess the same thing for me. I've had friends I have learned, and that was like such a true help when my friends were actually just listening, and that's all they were doing was just listening to me. And I was like, oh my God, that was just like such a good friend where I could just call and just be, and at that moment, I may not be rational. I don't know, but I just got to get it out. And so what we're learning is that repressed emotions pretty much hurt you and causes sickness. So if you can be helpful to your friend, family, or loved one, where all you can do is just listen and let them be, as long as they're not going to say, I'm going to go kill them right now, or I'm going to go do that. They're not harming themselves or others, then I don't see any need to kind of step in to stop. So I'll let Tamil finish us up.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I think you kind of like hit the points that I was going into. And next, I know on Monday, because we do take a break on Sunday, we're going to touch on empathy versus sympathy, give you more fruitful knowledge about how to decipher the difference and when to have one leading, when to have one back. And yeah, just to be more aware. And we're just helping you be more emotionally aware to be fruitful. So passing it back on.
So also this week, we will have a free webinar again on Thursday nights, and to give you some opportunity, to give you some tips that you can kind of use, some practical things that we're going to give you in that setting. So be looking out for that. And we appreciate your time. See you next time.